What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2. We are here on Forest Crossroads Hard Elemental Rumble for this week. As you see, I've got 0 progress this week. I personally am not really interested in any of the sets for me personally other than the fire set, so I am not doing any grinding at all on the non-fire weeks. However, I did get lots of people that are looking for ability power sets, sending me messages on what I would do. So we're going to run through what I would do as a grinder for this weekend on Water Week Elemental Rumble Forest Crossroads. Now, first things first, if you're not fully decked, if you don't have all your stuff in order, don't do it on hard mode. You're just going to make your life very frustrating. Do it on normal mode. It's difficult enough. The drop rate is slightly worse. However, the drop rate is terrible anyway. So it's not going to be a massively noticeable difference in the loot that you're going to get. Let's go ahead and start things off and just take a look at the lanes here. Let's see, we got Double Storm over here. We got Earth here. We got Earth there. And then what do we got? We got Storm and Earth over here. So we actually have a little bit of a freebie this week. As, of course, Earth lanes want fire damage. You see, enemies are immune to Petrify. However, they take 200% fire damage. So everything coming to this lane is going to be taking double damage to fire. Now, on these side lanes, these are storm lanes. And, of course, these want earth damage. So everything coming to any of these storm lanes is going to take double damage from earth damage. Now, we see on that flyer lane up top, that particular lane, these enemies are only going to take 50% damage to earth. So we are going to want to be cautious of that particular lane. Additionally, remember that they take 50% less damage from projectiles. So if you're planning on just pewing the flyers down, you're going to be doing 50% less damage with any of your projectile attacks. But let's go ahead and build things out. To start things off, looks like we've got a Countess already. We're going to use an Elder Dragon with a unique setup, Motherly and double unique, crit damage and crit servo, using Mass Destruction, Destruction, and All for One. We're going to throw in a couple of baby birds just for support. We got Destruction, Power Transfer, Dragon's Haste on those, anti-melee, crit damage, and defense rate. So let's get this lane first. Now, the benefit we have here is the Elder Dragon is an absolute machine. So, pretty much an Elder Dragon with just a couple of little baby dragons as support is going to easily cover this lane, which gives us a whole lot of leftover DU. Now, we're going to want to boost and buff everything, of course, so we do want a buff beam in. For this particular setup, I am going to use one buff beam and just put down multiple nodes. So let's start it like over here. We'll go like to there. We'll come to say there and then back down to say there. Our buff beam is now in order. Of course, we want a boost aura as well. I'm just going to slap that in wherever I can get it. Right about there sounds good. And then we're going to want destructive pylons on everything. Now, I've got destructive pylons on my reflect beam right now. You don't need any mods on the reflect beam. Destructive pylon and range pylon. We're going to be using the reflect beam as a reflect beam. So, of course, you don't require anything. Now, we're going to go ahead and throw down individual reflect beams. So, we'll just have to see how the DU works out. As you see, I've only spent 330, so I got a ton left. So we got one reflect beam. Remember, in this configuration, the node in the middle is providing the destructive pylon. And now we want to set up some crowd control. I'm never personally going to do Elemental Rumble without using some sort of crowd control. Over here, we got Earth lanes, which means they can't be petrified, so kind of a natural combo for that is going to be Electrocute. So I'm going to go ahead and throw a Water Aura down here to get a Drench in. And then we're going to throw in... Do we have a Storm Proton Beam? We do. So we're going to throw a Storm Proton Beam with Defense Rate and Frosty Beams in. And then this is going to provide our crowd control for this area. We can just go something like that. Make sure we cover the whole enchilada there. And now anything that makes it down into that zone is going to get electrocuted. Now, we're going to want to go ahead and basically do the same thing on the side lanes. Now, we know we want earth damage over here. So for these lanes, I'm going to be going with some Mystic Snakes. I think they have earth on them. They do have earth on them, and we've got destruction, mass destruction, and ramping. Now, when it comes to our crowd control, these enemies cannot be electrocuted. So we're going to want to not use the electrocute combo. So instead, we are going to go with Petrify. So let's grab good old Proteus here, and we'll set a... do we have poison? Yeah, we do. Okay, so we're going to set a poison proton beam, just like right here. This is going to serve two purposes. First off, it's going to provide poison to everything that comes down this lane. Additionally, it's going to give any dive-bombing flyers a target, as dive-bombing flyers, of course, love to go after protons. We're going to do the same thing there as well to provide some poison. And now we just have to load up on those Earth Snakes. Let me go ahead and grab my other EV back, as we are done with that one. So let's get some Earth Snakes down. What do we got left? We got 340 left, which is a shitload. You know, we're going to have an absolute ton of snakes in here. And let's see. Let's just go with, say, 4 of them. Something like that. We want these guys. Actually, that one is not in the buff beam, is it? Let's reposition these a little bit. That way we can get all of them inside the buff beam. Or, pardon me, the boost aura. And we can just double up. So let's go like 1 there, and 1 there. We'll go 1 there, and 1 there. Let's do the same thing over here. We want 4 of them in, so 1, 2... 3 and 4, and that leaves us tons of DU left. For what? Well, we want some reflect beams over here as well. We've got lots of DU, so let's just go ahead and go big on the reflects. We'll go something like that. Over here, we'll go something like this. We got everything buffed, we got everything boosted, and we have everything with Destructive Pylon. And we've got 40 left, so can kind of do whatever we want with the 40. I'm going to be playing actively on my Initiate and Tower boosting. So it's going to be all about the boost. I am going to be ignoring this Fireside, as I expect Mama Bird to put in some work. So I do want to throw a couple of upgrades on her. And then for the rest of it, we are just going to chillax it out here and buff whatever side needs more attention. So I'm assuming this side here is probably going to need the most love. So I'm going to focus on mainly boosting defenses on that side. But I am going to keep an eye out on this side as well. Flyers, it's a turtle build. So the most dangerous thing is going to be flyers. If flyers don't get handled, there's going to be problems. I should have put my hunter in my deck. Which I'll have to do after this wave. That way I've got a ranged character to help out with the flyers a little bit. However, I just want to be conscious that flyers can potentially be an issue here. And make sure I am on top of them. Particularly any dive bombers. Of course, we're going to hope that any dive bombers go right after that proton beam. And don't come screaming into our main operation here. So we're just going to sit here and chillax it out and buff these defenses away. Keeping an eye on the mini-map on what's coming, and that, of course, will determine which side I am boosting. So, and you can, I mean, if you want to, you can even boost your dragon. So you can also build things tighter to the core here and, you know, just have one buff point that hits everything. However, I liked getting them spread out a little bit here to get a little bit better line of sight down into the lanes. Here we go. We got our first dive bombers coming. Let's get that one first. That one is down. Looks like this one already got taken out. So, relatively smooth first wave overall. In fact, we can just run around and collect up some mana now. And what do we want to do? Well, we want to see which lane has bosses. And we want to put the upgrades in on boss lanes. We see we're going to have a captain right here. Actually, we're going to have two bosses here. We got a captain, and then we've got that orc commander as well. So let's go ahead and get this lane all jacked, or at least prioritize it. Get two upgrades in on each side. That'll leave me enough for an upgrade on all the things over here. And we don't want to leave Mama Dragon out, so we'll give her a little love as well. And then just let it fly again. So we know that we've got a commander and an actual mini-boss coming out over here. Here comes the commander now. And we should be able to put some good work into that commander before he even makes the route. Or makes the turn there. Actually, maybe not. We didn't get very many shots off on him at all. But, yeah. We are going to have a disable here. Looks like we got our petrify off. So that is a plus. Just keep working this lane. We got the knockback going here on our initiate, which is quite powerful. And let's just keep spraying down the lane. We'll keep knocking that commander back and just kind of keeping an eye out on what is coming. Here comes the captain now as well. He was right on the commander's tail end there. We're going to do the same thing. Just keeping him knocked back. And there we go. Captain Dreadbone's down as well. Now remember, the most efficient way to play Dungeon Defenders 2 in 2025 is without a doubt with an alt. Always use an alt. Alts not only give you double all the goodies, they make stuff like this a lot easier to run. Because say you have your Countess on your alt, which is very easy to tower boost on, you can just power boost on your alt, let it channel, and switch back over and actively boost on your initiate. You're getting twice as much power, and you're going to completely annihilate the lanes, making the maps really, really trivial. So always play with an alt. It's not just for AP resets, y'all. In fact, alts aren't for AP resets at all. It's just a side effect of having one. So the reason you use an alt, and I say this all the time, is you cut your grind time in half. You're getting double the crafting materials. You're getting double the gold. You're getting double the chance at 10 out of 10 mod drops. You're getting double all the things, cutting your grind time in half. The fact that it makes ancient power resets quite trivial is an added bonus. That's not the main reason you want an alt. So if you don't have an alt going, get yourself an alt going, y'all. It's very easy to set up and completely allowed to have one alt from Chromatics. So, I mean, if they're going to allow that sort of thing, take advantage of it. Just going to continue to boost it out. We got bosses over on this side this time, so we won't be conscious of that. We also have a boss up that way, so we'll want to be conscious of that as well. We can actually hit the dragon and everything on this side, but I'm still worried about this particular lane. But I do want to be cautious over here, particularly if I see any dive bombers. Dive bombers can just make the world go wrong real fast. See, we got our Earth Mage Commander rolling out. We've got an Orc Commander rolling out. We'll want to keep the knockbacks flowing on them. And I think we had a Captain in the mix, too. We'll just keep boosting it out here. The Earth Commander actually was kind of automated there. We got a daily mission completed. We'll take it. Right, we see we've got one of our yellow flyers, so we want to give that some attention. Yellow flyers equal bad. So They're very easy to spot on the mini-map. Make sure you're keeping an eye on them. They will get you if you're not careful. That is for sure. Now, even without having fine-tuned sets that are specifically for Elemental Rumble, you will find that with any 10 out of 10 set that's set up for, say, Onslaught or Survival or any other game mode is going to work just fine in Elemental Rumble. However, it will have a little bit more power even once you get some upgrades in. Definitely get some upgrades in. We got another commander there. We've got a commander over here and a captain over there as well. So let's just throw our final upgrade on Mama Bird, and then we'll just kind of spam around the rest. Good enough. And we just rinse it and repeating at this stage. So I think we fully made it to the point of just watch for dive bombers. Once again, yellow flyers will hurt you if you don't give them a little bit of attention. Okay, we got our first commander coming from over this side. I should have just brought my Countess along to give the example on the alt, but I wanted to show that it is possible to do these solo. Well, I mean, everybody knows it's possible, but it's not super difficult to do these solo. If you do bring your alt, though, it's going to make life easier. The downside is the alt is going to get the drops and the stuff's not tradable. So that is a big bummer. I did Elemental Rumble with my alt at the very beginning when the game mode first came out. And then after my alt had 2 fully complete set of gear and I didn't have a single set yet on my main, I stopped bringing my alt along. Dude is soaking up all the good RNG, and that is no good. Alright, you see we got another dive bomber coming in. Even though we got a captain here, I guess I should give the captain... Mama Dragon. Mama Dragon just going to get it done when it comes to the captain. For me personally, if I lose an Elemental Rumble map, it is normally because of flyers. So that's why I'm always pointing out flyers. If you get dive bombed early in the wave, it's going to destroy, likely destroy your build. They can just really cause problems. So I am very cautious of those flyers. Now, what do we got? We got another commander here. We got another commander there. We're going to go heavy mages here on this one. And then, what did we have worked in with that? Like just the 2 commanders. All right, well, let's let it fly here. So they're both coming off of this side. So once again, other than keeping an eye out for flyers, I am going to buff this corner, basically. Lots of different ways to build this one. Lots of different defenses that you can use. I know Self-Manifest is always on the grind. He's always streaming, has got lots of good builds to use. The Electric Mage Commander making the turn almost. Getting closer. We got no yellow flyers yet. And it looks like Electric Mage down. The Earth Mage is in Mama Dragon range now, so gonna get beat up. Gonna keep buffing this corner here. I'll keep an eye out over here. We see we got our first yellow flyer coming in. Little dive bomber there. Oh, and there it is. Luckily, we are at the end, so it doesn't matter. And that right there would sum up how when I lose an Elemental Rumble match, why it normally happens. Flyers will get you. But like I said, that was too little too late from that overzealous dive bomber. They just not going to be able to close the deal out on me here. So we get the W. So anyway, that's what I would do if I was farming Elemental Rumble this week. Lots of folks ask, and there you go. You got it. So that is what I personally would be running as a farm build, or some variation of that, basically, if I was looking for a water set this week, which I am not looking for a water set. They're not going to be putting the grind in on this week. I'm waiting patiently for Fire Week to come rolling back around. But that will do it for now. Thanks an absolute ton for watching. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you soon.